Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Q&A. This week's question is, can you talk more about how this change, the transition to becoming more of who we are, impacts those around us? I am an Enneagram 2, the Considerate Helper, and I find it difficult to make these changes without expending a lot of energy to help my partner understand. Are there strategies or phrases you use to help people move inward instead of lashing out at you? I don't like to stay silent or walk away. The reactions from others are among the toughest parts for me. So it's important to understand what I like to compare a relationship to is that each relationship is a dance. It's a dance where both partners are involved in a kind of a rhythm, a dynamic, which with years, especially for long-term relationships, it settles into a kind of familiar routine, which no longer requires us to be vigilant, and we become almost somnolent in it, right? Almost unconscious. So because life is busy and requires so much of our attention to put out fires, we rely on the stability that this long-term relationship provides. When one of us decides to change the steps or change the music or change the rhythm or change the dance, the other one is caught off guard most of the time, right? Usually we don't sort of wake up together. One of us wakes up first, and it usually produces reaction. And I think this reaction, it's important to understand that their reaction is normal. Just like if you imagine that you were the one who was sort of somnolent in a dance that seemed comfy and familiar, and suddenly your partner changes up the steps and starts to press on your toes or goes in the direction where you're not familiar to follow him, or changes the music and you don't even like the music. Basically, it's a disruption. And imagine that your partner was doing that to you. We would have a reaction, right? We would have a reaction. In the beginning, at least, it would be a negative reaction until we either learn the new steps or decide something else. So that's why it's important to understand that your partner's reaction to your changing of the dance moves is completely normal. So what is important to understand is that although the reaction is basically you're trying to control their reaction, you probably wouldn't have had a problem if their reaction was positive or supportive or in approval. You're having an issue, you're having a reaction to your partner's reaction, most likely because it's a negative one, or they don't understand you, or they get angry, like you say, they lash out. So what does that mean for you, right? We cannot control an emotional experience of another person, but we can control our own. So this is, you are asking me to help you find resources to help your partner to go within. Of course, I will, as always, send you to you and advise you to go within yourself, because although his reactions are his, your reactions are yours, right? What is happening in our body, the reaction that we feel, the emotion that we feel is ours, and we cannot keep anyone responsible for that. So although your partner may not know that yet, you do, right? Because you're doing the work, you're the one who is changing, you're the one who needs to understand that your reactions are yours. So what is it about your reaction to his reaction that seems to create the problem, right? Because you're saying that you cannot just walk away, you cannot remain silent. What is it about your need to control his reaction that seems to pose the problem? And I think that what is happening is that when our partners react negatively, it sends us to that place, a default setting, where that feels like when we were little girls and we were punished by our parents or other figures of authority, right? It makes us feel uncomfortable. It makes us feel in that state that we did when we were little girls. I am a bad girl. What am I doing wrong? What have I done to cause this reaction in the other person? What have I done to upset my parents so much? So that's the codependency, right? The emotional enmeshment in which we all come out of now, where we still feel responsible for the other's reaction. So when your husband, partner lashes out, what does it make you feel, right? Why is that uncomfortable? It's important to understand that as we come into this transformation, as we come to put forth these changes and step into the wider range of who we are, these are still very new steps, right? We're not yet completely familiar with this new us. So we're still a little bit hesitant about it. And as we start proclaiming our freedom and start making changes to that effect, our partners or other people around us react negatively, it sends us, it's a test, basically. It's a test of our resolve. It sends us a little bit back to, is it worth it? How strongly am I committed to this new me? And what am I prepared to tolerate for my freedom, for my authenticity? So these relationships within our partnerships, the reactions within our partnerships are a huge test for all of us, because not everybody will be able to tolerate the pressure. And of course, it sends you back. This is, as always, I say, this is you versus you. What does that mean for you if you're not understood by your partner? If you're not approved, if he's not enjoying this process with you, right? What does that mean about you? And what are you prepared to tolerate in your own path to freedom? The only advice I can give really is, first of all, leave your partner space to have their emotional experience, right? You cannot really control anybody else that we know. We cannot control their emotional reaction. So can you leave them to have their emotional experience, just like you want them to, or we want them to give us the same courtesy, right? We want to be left with the freedom to do what we must do, to experience what we must experience, to have the feelings that we are feeling, and the changes that we feel we must make. So it's the same respect, right? The same respect we demand toward us. This is the same respect we must accord the partner who is in this dance with you. So understand that their reaction is normal, that it's part of respecting the other person to allow them to have the reaction that they do. And then go within and see what is it that is so uncomfortable about this reaction that you are witnessing from your partner, and what does it make you feel? Do you doubt your resolve? Do you doubt that you are on the right path? What is the discomfort, and why do you need to convince them that you are right and that you are still good? Why can you not walk away and let them feel what they feel, even if they disagree? Right? Because I feel that this is still coming from that space of needing approval, needing validation from outside, needing to be liked, right? All of us come from that background, that experience. This is how our whole personality was formed. So I feel that it's not so much your personality type that you allude to, but rather all of ours background in codependency and emotional enmeshment, the need to control the experience of the other, the need to control their perception of who we are, that we're good, that we're right, that they are wrong. Well, our truth is ours, but they have their own truth from their perspective, from their life experience. So the fact that we're disrupting this dance that we've created together makes us responsible for the disruption that it creates, right? We're aware that it creates disruption, and we have to allow the other to have their reactions. So what I have found, the most important thing is that as we come into that inner peace, as we come to the conclusion that we are exactly where we need to be, and that it's worth to continue with making the changes that we feel we must, we then come into conviction and also compassion with who we are. Well, as we become compassionate with who we are, we can extend the same courtesy to other people with whom we come in contact in any relationship. So really, as you come into inner harmony, energetically everything changes because your dialogue with your partner will change. You will no longer need him to be something that you need him to be. You will allow him, or her for that matter, to be who they are and to have the reactions that they have. And this will inform your future steps in this relationship. But at least you're only responsible for your own reactions, just like they are responsible for theirs. And of course, their reaction is more a reflection of their inner world and not a reflection of who you are. So once again, to be very, very clear about this, that they have the right to their reactions, to their emotions. They have nothing to do with you. That's their inner world. But you are responsible for your own reaction and your inability to let go and allow him to have his perception. That's yours. And that's something that you have to work on. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next week.